Hey everybody, Reefgrrl here, and welcome to my channel. My sump, like many, has lots of stages and types of filtration. Water comes down the overflow, and the first thing it hits is these filter cups, stuffed with filter floss. There's a skimmer here, a Deltec 600i, and it pulls lots of nasty out of the water. The sole purpose of this little Tunzi 6020 is to keep the water circulating at the floor of the sump to stop detritus from settling. I have a pre-filter wrapped around it. You would not believe the crud that it pulls out of the water as well. Back here beside the skimmer, I have a rack of about 3 liters of Seachem Matrix, and underneath that rack is about 1 liter of Sipperax. And over here we have a couple of so-called nitrate reducing pads whose main purpose is to provide an environment where beneficial bacteria can colonize. I have some fast-growing Chaeto algae. Here are a couple of baskets of Miracle Mud, and in this bag is more Matrix. This white filter pad sits on top of a sponge that came with the tank. When that starts getting clogged up, I swap it out immediately. You'd think with all this filtration going on that the return chamber would stay pretty clean, but it doesn't. So this video is about a weird little project that I did to improve the hygiene in my sump and get this one final piece of the puzzle in place so that I could absolutely minimize detritus and decomposing organics as much as possible. As luck would have it, one of my favorite online suppliers was having a clearance, and one of the things they were getting rid of pretty cheap is these Ovation series of submersible filters. There are 3 different sizes. I bought one of each, and this is the smallest, the Ovation 210. I knew this would be perfect to do exactly what I wanted in the return chamber of my sump. I could have just circulated the water, but that would have caused the return pump to push everything right back up into the tank. I wanted to filter the water, not just circulate it, and this little thing is perfect for that. I have it set up, so let's get it running and take a look. Here it is horizontal, completely submerged in water. Check out that spray bar. That's what I'll have going under the water in the return chamber of my sump, and that is what I'm hoping will stir up the crud on the bottom. And most of that crud, theoretically, should get pulled in and filtered out by the filter floss. I put the return pump on feed mode and decided to feed the tank while I was doing this, so there it is installed. And you can see the filter floss is already starting to pull crud. I took a turkey baster and stirred up the return chamber, given that the return pump was off temporarily, hoping that as much as possible could be drawn into the filter while the pump was off. So will this work on a long-term basis? I haven't got a clue. I really hope it does, and I know I'm going to have to monitor it and make sure that I keep an eye on that floss and swap it out regularly, but I have high hopes. So my little sump turning filter has been in here for roughly 48 hours now. That is pretty clean. You can also see the filter floss is kind of cruddy, so I'm going to pull this out and see what it looks like. So here we are after roughly 48 hours. Here's what it looks like. I'm just going to pull that filter floss out, see what we have. So, you know, we do have some crud. All right, I'm gonna go put it back in the tank. I noticed this had stopped working, so I pulled it out of the tank, and my suspicion is that this floss is just too dense because it got extremely compacted. You can see it's not all that dirty, so it isn't dirt clogging up the pump. I think it's just, this is like almost a solid block. So my thinking was to replace that dense block of foam with this stuff. I really feel like the pump just wasn't strong enough to pull water through that really compacted filter floss. You can see there at the bottom, it only took a few days for a lot of stuff to build up. So now it's running again, and I'm going to leave it for several days and then check back and see what it looks like. Whatever it is doing down here, I've noticed the heater is definitely not as gungy as it used to be. And there is stuff moving around. As soon as I turned it on, it started stirring stuff up from the bottom. So in theory, this does work. And this time I'll wait a little longer and then check the filter pad and see how it looks.
Many months later.
Well, I would love to tell you I decided to do an experiment to see how long I could keep this thing running while neglecting it, but truth is, life got busy and I completely forgot about it. Until the other day, I was cleaning the pH probe and I suddenly noticed it and I went, whoa. So I decided to pull it out of the tank. It was still running before I pulled it out, so that was a good thing, but I have no clue what sort of ugly I'm gonna find inside here when I take it apart. I checked the video dates and it was in there for 2 months. So this is really grungy. Now for this. That is what the rolled up piece of filter pad is looking like that I put in there. So I got gloves on because who knows what's in here. Let's see if I can pull it out without my tweezers. Okay. And you know what? There's a really horrible smell to this thing. So I'm gonna try and unroll it. See what it's like inside. So what this tells me is that, oh God, the smell is disgusting. This worked to roll it up like this because pretty much the entire thing has caught debris, and that's very encouraging. I just need to get on top of the maintenance. Yeah, this is a win as far as I'm concerned. I'm gonna just throw it away now. Oh, the smell. So let's take this apart, and here's the pump. Yeah, it's looking rather disgusting, I would say. So I'm just gonna pry that off. I'm gonna cover the drain up just in case there are any small parts. Whew, I can still smell it. It is really, really bad. Definitely has stuff growing on it. Now I'm gonna clean this up. I wanted to show you what I call my magic brushes. It's a set of 10 all different sizes that I got on Amazon about 2 years ago. And this is an extra set, just in case I lose any or they break or whatever. I don't know what I'd do without them. I'll put a link in the description below. They're pretty cheap, and one fabulous thing about them is that the smallest size actually fits into the center hole of an impeller. So you can clean that out and be absolutely sure everything is super, super clean. They really make pump cleaning and equipment maintenance a lot easier. Everything's all cleaned up now. All the pieces. This turned out really nice, so that's great. And I have a ton of pinky filter. I don't have much of that blue stuff, but boy, I have lots of this. So I decided to just take a piece of this, roll it up with the pink side in, because the water will come from the outside, I'm thinking, and then just place it in here, just like I did the blue stuff. So hopefully that'll do a good job. Then the other thing I decided to do was separate a piece of pinky filter into 2 layers. The pump takes up a fair amount of that depth of space, so I don't think I have enough depth available here for 2 layers, but I sure do have some for 1 layer. So we're going to put that in there like that, and hopefully that will keep most of the crud from getting into the pump. My suction cups back in here, and then this goes back together. This spray bar. All right, so I think we're ready to put this back in. It always blows my mind how quickly stuff accumulates on the bottom of the return chamber. Check this out. It's only been a day or so since I've had that pump out. So hopefully when I put the pump in, we'll stir lots of stuff up and it'll do its job. I'm also going to swap out this filter pad because boy, is it ever dirty. So the pump is in place, and I changed the filter pad, and this time I put it down as low as I could to the bottom, because the closer that spray bar is to the bottom surface, the better job it'll do stirring things up. So I'm not going to turn it on until I have the return pump on feed mode, because I'm going to feed the tank. Okay, so everything's stopped, and I put food in the tank. All right, so I'll flip the switch, and there it goes. And you can see right away, stuff is getting stirred up. So that was a good change to make, to push it down as close as I could get it to the bottom. Today is a Benner Reef feeding day, so I'll put the Benner Reef in the main tank, and that means I'll have the return pump off for at least 20 minutes, if not longer. So that'll give a good chance for this little filter to pull as much as possible in and avoid sending it up to the display tank via the return pump. So here it is about an hour after turning the return pump back on. It's been working away, and there is still some stuff visible on the bottom and on the heater. It also is definitely pulling stuff in to the filter floss, so this is good. This is what happened last time. It did take a day or two to get the bottom completely clear. And a couple of days later, check it out. Very, very clean. Look at that heater. I did take a toothbrush and run it gently over the heater. I didn't want to stir up a lot of stuff that would then end up polluting the tank, but I did want to get it out of here. And this little filter has picked it up amazingly well. 1 week and 1 filter pad swap later, check out how clean this is. I think I've hit on the right way to keep things clean here. And one further thing to think about. This pump was designed for freshwater use, so I don't know how it's going to perform long-term in salt water. I'll have to watch that really closely. So at this point I feel pretty confident my sump is as clean as I am going to be able to get it, as long as I stay on top of that filter maintenance, because leaving it in there for a couple of months is kind of counterproductive. Finally, here's a reminder of why I went through this whole process, why it was so important to me. I need to do everything I possibly can to keep everything living in here as healthy as possible. I know I'll make mistakes. I hope I won't ever crash my tank again, but you never know. But if I can undertake little projects like this that help in some way, then it's well worth the time and effort, even if it is a little bit weird. This is one of 2 trochus snails I have in Mollywood that are carrying little villages on their back. There's a fan worm, a little tube worm, a couple of filter feeders of some type. There's more than one, and in fact this snail has fewer than the other snail, but I was finally able to capture the right angle and the right lighting to actually see what's going on here. This is so cool.